You tried. You gave your all. You believed you were the right person at the right moment, but in the end all that was left was silence and pain. How many times did you look up at the sky and ask, why? The answer was always there. But you didn't want to accept it. It wasn't the time. It wasn't who God chose for you. But now things have changed. Your time has come. What once didn't make sense is now starting to fall into place. You look back and realize every disappointment was a blessing in disguise. Every closed door was protection. God didn't want you to get lost in the wrong romances, in empty promises, in feelings that only drained you. He needed you to understand one thing. What is meant for you doesn't get lost, doesn't have to be forced, and doesn't cause you pain. Now you are ready. You don't need to chase after it anymore. What is from God comes with peace. It comes at the right time. And that time has arrived. You've waited long enough. You've been disappointed so many times that for a moment you believed it just wasn't meant for you. You watched others find love while your life seemed stagnant. You tried everything. You were patient, persistent, you gave yourself fully, and in the end, nothing. That's when doubt began to grow inside you. Is the problem me? Am I asking too much? Is it never going to happen? But now I need you to understand something. What felt like a delay was God protecting you. What felt like rejection was God freeing you. What felt like silence was God preparing you. Now your time has come. You feel it, don't you? Something inside you has changed. Anxiety doesn't control you like it used to. The insecurity that made you doubt has no power anymore. You've started to understand that it's not about chasing after things. It's not about trying to make it happen your way. It's about trusting. Because when God decides to act, the doors that were closed open effortlessly. What once seemed impossible becomes real. And you realize it wasn't bad luck, it wasn't incompetence, it wasn't punishment. It was just timing. You were prepared for this. Don't think that this waiting period was in vain. You needed to go through all of this to mature, to learn the difference between what destroys you and what strengthens you, to stop accepting anything just because you're afraid of being alone. Because before, you accepted crumbs and called it love. You settled for less, for little, for empty promises, with people who had no intention of staying. And God didn't want that for you. He never did. What He has prepared for you isn't something that comes and goes, that makes you doubt, that leaves you insecure. What He has for you doesn't make you beg for attention, doesn't make you question your worth, doesn't make you feel like you need to be someone else to be loved. The love that God has prepared doesn't weaken, doesn't drain you, doesn't suck the life out of you. It strengthens, it builds, it brings peace. And now, after so much waiting, after so many tears, that love is on its way. It isn't just anything. It's a promise. You've seen what happens when you try to do things your way. When you force it, when you insist, when you try to fit the wrong people into the space that God has reserved for the right one. But now it's different. Because you're no longer desperate. You're no longer accepting anything. God has shaped you for this moment. He took you out of the rush, the neediness, the fear of being alone. He showed you that your happiness doesn't depend on someone else, but on Him. And when you learned this, when you finally understood that the right love doesn't replace God but brings you closer to Him, then the time has come. Now is the time. Now you are ready. And don't be fooled. It will be different. Because this love won't confuse you. It won't make you feel insecure. It won't make you feel like you need to earn it. You'll look and know. This is it. Without fear, without doubt, without needing to insist. Because when God does it, He does it perfectly. What is yours is on its way, and you feel it, don't you? This peace that didn't exist before. This rest. This certainty that, for the first time, you don't have to chase after it. Because now you know what God has promised He fulfills. What is yours will find you. The love He has set aside for you is not lost, not delayed, not forgotten. It is coming. And when it arrives, you will understand why everything happened this way. The promise is being fulfilled. You spent too much time thinking you had to be someone different to be loved. You questioned yourself, belittled yourself, tried to fit into stories that were never yours. But now God is showing you that it wasn't about changing to be accepted, but about waiting to be found by the right one. And this wait was not a punishment. It wasn't God depriving you of happiness. It was Him freeing you from unnecessary pain, from toxic cycles, from people who would only make you waste time. Now everything starts to make sense. Now you look back and understand. Nothing was in vain. Every tear you shed, every night you asked for answers, every time you thought you couldn't take it anymore, God was watching. He didn't forget you. He was preparing you. And now that the preparation is over, the time for the promise has come. You no longer need to search before you lived searching for love, as if it were a necessity, as if your life were incomplete without it. You wanted it so much that you would accept halves, insist on what was already broken, ignore the obvious. The right love doesn't hurt. Now you have learned. And because you have learned, God can act. The love He prepared doesn't come laden with insecurities. It doesn't make you beg. It doesn't make you feel afraid. It doesn't make you doubt. It arrives with clarity, with certainty, with peace. And that peace is already inside you. You feel it, don't you? Because when the right time comes, you no longer need to chase after it. What's meant for you comes to you. This love won't bind you. It will free you. You've been in relationships that imprisoned you, that made you feel less than, that made you doubt your worth. But that's over. The love that God is bringing into your life doesn't weigh you down. It strengthens you. This person won't suffocate you, won't diminish you, won't make you question yourself all the time. On the contrary, they will encourage you, lift you up, help you grow. They will be a gift, not a burden. Because God doesn't unite purposes for destruction, He unites for edification. And if before you only knew the heavy side of love, now it's your time to experience the light side. The right time has come, believe. Everything God does has a time, and that time has come for you. Now it's no longer about waiting. Now it's about receiving. Because what was once silence is now an answer. What were once doubts are now certainties. What were once closed doors are now open paths. What God promised, He is fulfilling. And when you least expect it, when you're simply living, focused on your growth without desperation, the love that God has prepared will find you. You no longer need to ask yourself, what if it never happens, because it's already happening. God didn't leave you waiting by chance. Every day, every disappointment, every wait was aligning you with what He prepared. You may not have seen the signs before, but now you feel it. Something within you has changed. There is a quiet certainty, a peace that didn't exist before. You no longer need to chase after what is yours, because now what is yours is coming to you. And when it arrives, you will notice the difference. You'll see that love isn't confusion, that what comes from God doesn't leave you in doubt. It provides security, that the one sent to you doesn't play with your feelings, doesn't drain you, doesn't exhaust you. What comes from God is never late, never wrong, never fails, and it's on its way. You are not alone in this. I know that many times you felt alone in this journey, that you looked around and saw everyone else finding someone, while you remained in the same place. And it was hard. Seeing people getting married, starting families, finding companionship while you waited. You smiled, wished them happiness, but deep down, it hurt. And God saw that pain. He saw every time you believed you were close, only to watch everything crumble in the end. He heard your questions, your hidden tears, your silent prayers. And now He's saying, son, daughter, it's your turn. The time of feeling alone is over. The time of questioning yourself, of thinking that you would never be loved, of wondering if it was meant for you, is over. Now is the time to receive. When God acts, the impossible happens. You've tried everything your way. You've attempted to force connections, convinced yourself that some people were the right ones, ignored signs, and insisted when you should have let go. And it didn't work because it wasn't meant to. Now God will do it His way, and when He does, there's no mistake, no loss, no doubts. The right meeting won't be a coincidence. It won't be a stroke of luck. It will be God delivering to you what He has set aside for you from the very beginning. You will look back and realize that nothing was by chance. That all the doors that closed, all the goodbyes, all the almosts that didn't turn into forevers were blessings in disguise. Because God doesn't want you to have just any love. He wants you to have the right love. The time is now. It's not tomorrow. It's not years from now. It's now. God's timing never fails. And that time has come for you. You no longer need to question. You no longer need to fear. The promise is alive and it is being fulfilled. Now all you need to do is believe. Believe that God has never forgotten you. Believe that He has always known what He was doing. Believe that finally, your time has come. You need to be ready to receive now that God is acting. You need to be ready. It's pointless to say you're waiting for something if, deep down, your heart is still tied to the past. If there's still fear, let it go. If there's still hurt, forgive. If there's still doubt, trust. Because God does not deliver promises to hearts that are still carrying remnants of old pain. He wants you to step into this new time lighter, whole and healed. The love that is coming cannot be received by someone who still sabotages themselves. You cannot treat what God is sending as if it's the same as what has already passed. What is coming is different, it is new, it is from God. And now, it's your turn to live this. You no longer need to prove your worth. Before you thought you needed to earn love, that you had to work hard to be noticed, that if you did everything right, maybe someone would stay. But God's love doesn't work that way. What He has for you doesn't make you chase after it. The person He has prepared will see you exactly as you are, and they will choose to stay. No games, no indecision, no fear. Because when God brings people together, there is no room for doubt. So, stop worrying about whether you will be loved. You already are. Stop thinking about whether you will be enough. You already are. And when the right person arrives, you will know, this is what I was waiting for. What God has for you. Nobody can stop. The time that seemed lost was actually working in your favor. What seemed like a delay was, in fact, preparation. Now no one can stop what God has decided to release into your life. No word of doubt, no mistake from the past, no insecurity. Nothing can change what has already been determined. What is yours is coming, and nothing can stop it. You are entering the best time of your life. The phase of suffering is over. The phase of waiting without answers is over. The phase of living in almost is over. Now you are entering the phase of fulfillment. The love you have waited so long for is on its way. And when it arrives, you will understand it was worth the wait. Everything you have been through up to this point has been preparing you for this moment. The pain, the disappointments, the waits. Nothing was in vain. Now you are on the brink of something grand, something that God has already decreed, something that no one can stop. You may not see it clearly yet, but something is moving. God is putting everything in place. What is yours is coming, and nothing can hold it back. And when it arrives, it will not be small. It will be bigger than you imagined. The love that God is bringing is not ordinary. It is not temporary, it is not uncertain. It is solid, it is true, it is eternal. Because when God delivers, He delivers something that lasts. Now is your moment. Stop doubting what God is doing. You have tried so many times your way, and you know what happened. You got hurt, you were disappointed, you gave your heart to someone who didn't know how to take care of it. But now God is in control, and He doesn't make mistakes. So stop trying to understand how it is going to happen. Stop doubting if it will work out. God has already decided that for you. What is yours has already been released. And when it happens, you will look back and understand why you needed to wait so long. You will see that every tear that fell, every night that felt lonely were preparing you for this moment. Now it is no longer about waiting, it's about receiving. What comes from God doesn't cause you doubt. When this love arrives, you won't need to insist. You won't need to question if it is mutual. You won't need to ask yourself if you are being valued. Because what comes from God gives you peace. The right person won't play with your feelings. They won't disappear and then reappear. They won't make you feel alone, even when you're with someone. The right person will stay. Because when God brings people together, it's meant to last. And you'll feel the difference. You'll realize that the love that comes from God doesn't trap, doesn't drain, and doesn't hurt. It builds, it strengthens, it makes you grow. And when that happens, you'll know that your time has finally come. You are ready to live what you've always dreamed of. The truth is that you've never been alone. God has always been preparing everything. He has always been shaping you. He has always protected your heart from unnecessary pain. Now, He is giving you what has always been yours. The right love, the right moment, the fulfillment of the promise. And when it happens, you will understand. Every wait, every tear, every prayer was worth it. God's timing never fails. God's time has come for you. Believe, receive, and get ready to live what you've always hoped for. Comment, I believe, subscribe to the channel, and give a like to reach more lives.